YouTube, what's happening? It's your boy, the one and only Intergalactic Brew, here to give you my UFC 140 predictions. It's going down Saturday night, 9 o'clock, exclusively on pay-per-view from Toronto, Ontario. UFC heading up to the North Pole one more again, to bring you some of the most exciting, entertaining, and breathtaking UFC action. We've got a very intriguing main event for you, as John Bones Jones will probably face, without a doubt, the toughest test, bar none, of his young, fast starting career, as the term goes, in Lyoto Machida. But before I get to that, I want to talk about these other these other fights, I should say, that are just pure awesomeness. It's almost like a taste. It's almost like a sweet taste in your mouth when you think about these other fights leading up to the main event. So without any further ado, let's get this thing rolling. First fight I'm going to talk about is Mark the Machine Hominick versus the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung. This is a very I'm not going to say tough test. Yes. Yeah. No, I have to go to rehearsal tonight. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. That's my nephew. But like I was saying, I don't know if this is gonna be the most stiff test for Mark Hominick, but I would imagine this would be one of his more tougher fights that he's had in a while, because Chan Sung Jung can take a punch, but he's also proved that he could be knocked out from one as well, or at least a strike. But yeah, Mark Hominick, I think this is a favorable matchup for him at the same time, because I don't think Chan Sung Jung is going to want to look to take the fight to the ground unless, he's just fooling us and making us believe that he's going to stand and try to, knock out Mark Hominick, and he ends up taking him to the ground anyway. It'd be very interesting to see, but I don't really see it happening for the most part. For Mark Hominick, this is kind of like a rebound slash return homecoming for him, being that he's fighting in his home country of Canada once again. As we all know, the last time he was in Toronto, he darn near became the UFC featherweight champion. So I'm pretty sure he's going to want to look to get a little bit of redemption from not coming through in his previous fight in Canada. So yeah, this is a big moment for Mark Hominick. But as far as the fight goes, like I said just now, I could pretty much see the fight staying standing on the feet. I think Hominick knows what to do. He needs to use his superior boxing slash kickboxing ability and make himself unpredictable against Chan Sung Jung, because the Korean Zombie is going to come forward and try to pour the pressure on Mark Hominick from the beginning. And what Hominick needs to do is he just needs to get on the inside and try to land combinations along with leg kicks, and see if he can't land that right hook right on the spot with the Korean Zombie, and try to get an early knockout here. What the Korean Zombie needs to do is simple. I mean, close the distance, back Mark Hominick up, put him against the fence, use that size and that weight, dirty box, knee to the body, and eventually try to take him down and beat on him, and maybe try to get another submission. You know, try to maybe hook that patented twister of his. You know, maybe we could see that here in this fight. That would be pretty cool to see. But you know, for the most part, like I said, I think being that Hominick wants to come to his home country again and rebound from the last fight that he had, I think he's going to do it in a spectacular fashion. So I think this fight will, like I said, stay standing. And I just see Mark Hominick basically being too quick and a little bit too skilled for the Korean Zombie, standing up. And I believe at some point in the fight, Hominick will catch Chan Sung Jung with that right hook, and I think he'll drop him, and I think he'll end it from there. And I think I'll probably see that happening somewhere in the second round, but who knows. But overall, I'm picking Mark Hominick by TKO. Okay, next fight we have is Bryan Ebersol versus Claude Patrick. Another interesting fight here, just for the simple fact that you have a much bigger, taller man in Bryan Ebersol, who's really, you know, a 205er at heart. But I think this is welterweight. Yeah, this is welterweight. But yeah, Bryan Ebersol, I mean, if you just look at him, you know, he could easily be light heavyweight, you know, with ease or whatnot. But he will definitely have the size advantage in this fight. I think he'll have the reach advantage. Claude Patrick, on the other hand, I think will possess more speed and yeah, and probably with the grappling as well. I think he'll be the better grappler in this fight. I give Ebersol the edge standing up. Basically, what Claude Patrick needs to do is, you know, he needs to try to get this fight to the ground. Bottom line. I mean, you know, he can try and, you know, test his striking with Ebersol if he wants to, but he'll just get completely crushed, in my opinion. But I really think it would be in the best of interest for Claude Patrick to get this fight to the mat and try to submit Ebersol, because I don't think that Ebersol is really dealt with somebody with the grappling ability of Claude Patrick. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the whole game plan. I hope it's the game plan. You know, I hope he plays it smart and you know, tries to go to his strongest part of his skill set, because we see so many fighters make the mistake of, you know, trying to try something that they know they shouldn't be trying. Now for Ebersol, on the other hand, I'll say he could probably take this fight wherever he wants to go, because he is a well-rounded fighter. He does have a stellar wrestling background, as well as striking, too, as demonstrated in the last fight. So yeah, I think Ebersol, you know, is gonna dictate this fight. You know, I think you know, if he feels like Claude is getting too comfortable standing up, I think he'll look to take the fight to the ground. And I think if it stays, I think if it goes to the mat and Ebersol gets the mount position and controls him, I think Claudio Patrick is a goner. But at the same time, we say that, but Claude Patrick somehow finds a way to submit guys in very dangerous positions. So I think if he does get taken down, Patrick I'm talking about, if he does get taken down, I think that won't be a worry, because like I said, he's good off of his back. And you know, that can give you a lot of confidence and a lot of comfort as a grappler if you can win the fight from the bottom. So there you go. But what I actually see happening in the fight is I just see Ebersol's size and well-roundedness being a little bit too much for Claude. I mean, I think Claude will hang in there, you know, maybe till like the end of the second round, like towards the end, late in the second round. You know, I think he'll last for maybe about a round and a half, you know, and hang in there and give him a tough time. But you know, I just think Ebersol, with his size and his reach and, you know, like I said, his well-rounded skill, you know, he can pretty much put the fight where he wants to. And where I see Ebersol winning this fight, because that's who I'm picking, I think Ebersol's going to win it standing up. I think he might press him up against the fence and you know, start initiating the Muay Thai clinch, and I think we'll see, you know, some brutal knees, and eventually he'll end up clocking Claude with one of those knees, and I think he'll just ground and pound him to a referee stoppage. So I'm gonna go with Brian Ebersol here by TKO. But like I said, you know, Claude Patrick, you know, can submit guys off of his back. But like I said, Ebersol in that top position, man, he's a handful. I mean, just ask Rory McDonald and Chris Lytle. You know, he's a handful. But I mean, you know, if anybody can surprise them and win the fight off of their back, it's Claude Patrick. So, I mean, I'm not counting him out, but I just think that Ebersol is just going to be a little bit too big, and you know, his skills are going to be too much for Patrick. So there you go. But like I said, Patrick could fool me. Okay, here we go. The first of what I'll call a triple main event, even though it's not technically a triple main event in my eyes. This is a main event like matchup. Personally, I'm not looking forward to this match, but what can you do? You know, there's really no other fight that really makes sense for these two guys right now, you know, except this one. So here you are. It's the sequel, Big Nog. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Oh man, wow! I just made a big mistake. Okay, it's Little Nog versus Tito Ortiz. I'm sorry. See, there's the twin effect. See, I'm getting confused. But Little Nog versus Tito Ortiz. A fight that was originally supposed to happen a few months back, but injuries and, you know, other complications kind of hindered it. But finally it's here, and finally we're gonna see it. This is what MMA dubs as a crossroads fight, kind of like a must-win situation for both men. Most importantly, Tito Ortiz, because I think if Tito were to lose this fight, you know, I think it would be best that Tito just retire. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense right now. And if Little Nog loses this fight, then I would only guess that he would be gone from the UFC. But with Dana White, you never know. But anyway, basically, for Tito Ortiz, he needs to finish this fight. I mean, it would be nice if we could see a fight of the night here, but in actuality, being I think that Tito has the more expectation and the more to lose in this fight, I would say it's important for him that he comes out and he either tries to knock out or submit Little Nog. I mean, and that's just the cold hard fact. And for Little Nog, it's the same way. I mean, both of these guys need to finish. Because to be fair, um, both men haven't looked that impressive in their past few fights. Now Tito Ortiz is an exception because besides the Ryan Bader fight, he gave a hell of an effort against Rashad. Um, but up until then, you know, he still didn't look all that impressive. But those last two fights though that he's had, you know, I think we've really seen Tito evolve as a fighter. For Lil Nog, I really can't say the same because, in my opinion, you know, he got absolutely dominated by Jason Brills going back to that fight. And then with the Ryan Bader fight, it was pretty much the same thing. Although he did you know hold his own a little bit more in that fight, but still he got dominated. I believe. You know, Ryan Bader was just able to take him down with ease and, you know, just clobber him. So yeah, but like I said, both of these guys need to finish the fight. And as much as I would love to see this fight stay standing, I think it's really going to be a technical ground fight, if you ask me. I think Tito was going to look for the takedown early in this fight. I think he's smart enough to know that he doesn't want to feel the wrath of Little Nog's boxing, let alone his knockout power. So I think Tito will do the right thing and take this fight to the mat and try to out-wrestle Little Nog and possibly submit him. I mean, Jason Brills, you know, give him credit. He was darn near able to submit Little Nog. You know, and Little Nog's a black belt. But, you know, Jason Brills found a way to get the right position and attempt a submission. So if Tito can kind of, you know, reincarnate that strategy, then Tito could do the same thing, you know. Little Nog, as far as he goes, I don't know how he's going to be able to stuff Tito's takedowns, because Tito is an explosive takedown specialist, I guess. I think what Little Nog needs to do is I think he needs to use some footwork and some head movement and just use angles and try to find the range and let his hands go and just try to catch Tito early and often as possible. I mean, you know, it's not like Tito doesn't have, you know, a hard chin. I mean, you know, no disrespect, but you know, Tito has been knocked out several times. So, you know, if Little Nog can, like I said, if he can find that range and use that footwork and that head movement, I think he can. I think he can knock Tito out. But for the most part, what do I actually end up see happening is I think that Tito, unfortunately, is going to try to keep the fight standing. I think he's going to just abandon his whole ground attack, and I think he's going to try to stand and trade with Lil Nog, and I think Lil Nog is just going to just catch him time after time until finally he lands that left hook, and I think it's going to be it for Tito Ortiz, and I think we see Tito Ortiz retire tomorrow night as well. So I'm gonna go with Lil Nog here by knockout. There you go. Now, going on to the co-main event of the evening. Now, as I said before I made my mistake, this fight here is one that I'm not looking forward to. But unfortunately, we have to witness this because, like I said, what fight really makes sense right now for both of these guys? So, yeah, it's the sequel to Frank Mir and Big Nog. Now, I don't have to break down this fight too much because we all know, you know, the story. We know that these two met a couple of years ago at UFC 92. Frank Mir was the underdog in this fight. They just came off season 8 of The Ultimate Fighter. Lil Nog was the UFC interim champion at the time, and basically he got outboxed and he got knocked out. Simple as that. You know, he did deal with some staph infections, you know, some knee injuries and everything, but you know, whether he wants to admit it or not, which thankfully he has admitted it, you know, Frank Mir was just the better man that night. So obviously that humbled Nogueira, and I'm sure he's not going to come into this fight underestimating Frank Mir, and I think he'll respect Frank Mir a lot more this time around. Lil Nog, we all know his story. You know, he hasn't looked too good, you know, before the Randy Couture and the Tim Sylvia fight. You know, I think he's lost, let's see, Frank Mir, Cain Velasquez. Yeah, Frank Mir, Cain Velasquez. Yeah, so he's, I think, 2-2 or 2-3 in his last what, 4 or 5 fights or whatever. But anyway, nonetheless, Lil Nog really needs to win this fight, you know, to really make himself relevant again and for his legacy. Basically, Frank Mir has everything to gain here because, I mean, he's beaten Nogueira before. He was the first guy to, you know, really stop him in a fight. So Frank Mir is going to have all the confidence in the world, and I think now the roles are reversed a lot more than they were a few years ago. I think Little Nog is kind of like the one everybody's counting out, and Frank Mir is the favorite here. So I think what Nogueira needs to do is, I really think he needs to use the jiu-jitsu in this fight. I really think Nogueira needs to put a lot of emphasis on taking Mir down and trying to submit him. Because if he stands up with Frank Mir again, we're only going to see, you know, a rerun of what we saw back in 2008. Will it happen? I don't know. I hope it doesn't. But, you know, at the same time, you know, Frank Mir, you know, let's not forget about him either. You know, he's he hasn't looked too well in his last few fights either. I mean, he's won. I mean, he beat Crow Cop, he beat Big Country, but they weren't impressively. I mean, you know, he was gassed, and you know, it was sloppy and all this other stuff. So I mean, both of these guys really need an impressive win. The bottom line is, who will win? It would be cool to see Nogueira win. Like, I'm hoping Nogueira wins, you know, just so you know, he can still have some type of relevance in the heavyweight division. But who I think is going to win, I think that Frank Mir is going to win, and I think we are going to see a rerun of what happened last time. It's not going to be very exciting. It's going to be very slow and very sloppy. But in the end, Frank Mir is going to somehow, surprisingly, knock out Nogueira again. So, yeah, I'm going with Frank Mir TKO. But hopefully Nogueira can surprise me again and pull off a submission. It'd be great. Wow, I have gone extremely over. You know what? I'm going to make another video for the main event. So everybody just sit tight, and I will be right back on here to give you my predictions for the main event.